Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we talk to individuals, businesses, and organizations who are taking the lead and whose actions are impacting the well-being of their communities and the world at large.
It is Money with Mission's birthday. I can't believe a year has passed since we launched on this endeavor to share with the world investing for financial return and social impact. I need to thank so many for their help behind the scenes, getting the show out to you. So much goes into it. Thank you to my team. Thank you to every guest. Your shares have been so informative and I am sure life-changing for some. And thank you, listeners. Let me know how we can better serve you. Our goal is to help you get started or increase the impact your financial investments have to your bottom line and the world. Welcome back to Money with Mission. I am super excited. And I know I say that every week, and I'm super excited, but I am super excited to have Brad and Emily Niebuhr with me today. They are from Full Circle Investments. Brad and Emily are married, and I think you're our third married couple working together that we've had on the show. Go back and listen if you guys don't remember. I had Gina and Dave, and Randy and Jana, and now Emily and Brad. So it is possible to work with your spouse in a business where you're actually even making some money and you stay married. So let's talk about these guys. Brad has built an impressive multi-million-dollar cash flowing portfolio of multi-tenant commercial and multi-tenant mixed-use investment properties. Brad owns a successful electrical contracting company which specializes in large projects. In order to bring the highest and best value to his investors, Brad is constantly working to expand his knowledge in real estate investment, which has led him to being voted into an elite inner circle group of fund managers, as well as a recent appearance on one of the top real estate investment podcasts. So pretty impressive, Brad. Let's talk about Emily. Has worked alongside Brad to build the above mentioned portfolio. With experience in customer service and office management spanning the decade, Emily plays a key role in investor relations. Emily issues monthly and quarterly reports on projects to investors, as well as oversees investor payment and reporting. Key stuff to get done. You need that person in your life, right, Brad?
That's right.
Emily is
I want it to sound like one of us does more than the other. It's we both put all our souls into
working 100%
everything in the business. Yeah.
Okay. Emily's also in that elite inner circle of fund managers and was also on that top real estate investment podcast. Welcome, Brad and Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to be here.
Where are you guys now? You're in Washington State, correct?
That is correct.
Not
Yep.
Seattle.
No.
Central Washington, like right in the middle of the state.
Okay.
Between
All
Seattle
right.
and Spokane.
Okay. Yep. And I'm going to talk about your Facebook post, Emily. Emily has horses and goats and dogs, and she spends a lot of time with those animals in addition to her investing. And I'm talking about Emily because she does the posting. Brad's out there too. We've been on some calls before where Brad is nowhere to be seen because he's out digging dirt somewhere or something. These guys are pretty amazing. So we met a few years ago and we kind of built our practices, our businesses together. They are doing some amazing social impact projects. And let's start before that though. What got you into real estate investing? When did you guys start doing that together?
You know, so I started the electrical business, I think I was about, 24, 25 years old. And a few years after I was running the business out of my house, first house I ever bought. And I decided I need an office. So I bought an office. And then I decided this office would be, instead of taking money away from me every month, why don't I just rent this office out and try and make some money with it? So that was kind of my introduction to real estate. And also I had some very good friends who were investing in real estate at the time. Well, they still do. They're still really great friends of ours. So they were kind of advising me what to do. They actually advised me not to buy that office building, but I was buying it for a different reason. I was buying it for personal use for my business. I think I actually met Emily maybe just months after I bought that office building.
Well, that's why you really bought the office building, so that you could meet Emily. Even
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but when it came time to rent it, I had way overpaid for the building. It would not cash flow.
Okay.
So huge learning experience.
Yeah.
We ended up selling that building here several years ago. We ended up turning it into a bakery and renting it out, but I mean, it wasn't even making the payments. So I was like, well, let's get rid of this right away and invest that money somewhere where it does. So it just kind of cascaded. You know, I sold the first house, we built another house. We eventually lived in it for a few months, sold that one as well.
Lived in it for a year or two,
No, it
not
wasn't
just
that
a
long.
few months.
It
It felt
but
like a few
it's
months.
kind of just rolling rolling the real estate over, and the only income properties we've ever had have been commercial stuff. We never did get into residential, and that's probably from our friends who started out in residential.
We rented the first house.
We did rent the first house out, but that was my primary residence, and after we moved out, we rented it. So we didn't buy it as a rental.
Okay.
The only things we've specifically purchased or rentals have been commercial real estate. And I have a love for history.
Before you go there, Brad,
You
Emily,
want to hear the real story?
when you met Brad, did you know that he was in doing this real estate kind of investing thing?
He
Doesn't sound like he was really calling it that, but
he wasn't.
I was just a construction worker at that point when we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
We started this whole adventure together.
Yeah, and it really wasn't together at the beginning. It was like Brad's like, I'm gonna do this, and I was like, okay, go ahead. I'm gonna sit back and watch this roll in.
What were you doing? Were you working at the time outside of home, or?
Yeah, I worked for, I think,
Physical therapist. Well,
mm,
before that.
no, I worked for a company that manufactured water filtration equipment.
Okay. And you were doing their office management at that time and learned customer service, that kind of.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys got married and you got pulled into this real estate investing, or you were making some money. You were losing money actually at first, but
Mhm.
it sounds like that might have led you to your historic restoration business when you had this office building that wouldn't cash flow and you put a bakery in there. What made you think of that? How did that go?
I don't remember how we found those guys, actually.
So somebody came to you and said they needed a bakery and you said, we got a building?
Yeah. And we figured out how to, turn this office building into a bakery for them and rented it to them. And then I think, I don't know, a year and a half later, we ended up selling them the building.
Okay. So, but during that time, so this is one of those kind of horror stories, or one of those things where real estate investors are wondering, what the heck did I do here? Because I think you said it wasn't making the rent wasn't covering the cost of the building. So you guys were feeding that building, helping this bakery survive.
And they were a startup business. They had just started.
I think we rented them that space for $350 a month to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think our payments for that building were almost like 900 or something. So it was like,
Yeah. So guys, this happens. All real estate investors, if they tell you they haven't had some problem, they're not telling you the truth, or they haven't been doing real estate investing for very long. It happens. So, I mean, you sell the building, you move on, do the next thing. You realize the problem wasn't the real estate. The problem was the way I did that thing. So one of the things that Brad and Emily do is historic preservation and restoration. Talk about that. That's some of your multi-tenant, multi-use buildings have been those historic restorations. Is that correct?
I think all but one of them is.
Yeah.
Actually, all of them have been built in the either late 1800s or early 1900s. So,
okay. What makes you take that on? That just sounds like bad plumbing, bad electrical, bad everything. That just not fun. I love history. I love historic buildings. So it just sounds not fun though.
So that's very true. And you definitely have to do your due diligence. So all in all, I think we have 6 historic buildings built between, like Emily said, late 1800s, early 1900s. For some reason, most of them were built in 1889. I don't know why that must have been a big building year in the US.
In your town? Are they in your
Yeah,
town?
well, we've got them in different towns too. And anyways,
Yeah.
or there's, some significance to that number. But so you're correct in saying the plumbing, electrical needs to be redone. And that's quite possible. But a lot of the times, and then the way I see it, you're buying something, and in the case of what we look for, is something that's possibly, the ugly duckling of the town. How can you help the town out? Like, for instance, one of our last projects we put together for investors, we converted an old hotel into office space. So this building, the town wanted it like torn down. It was just an eyesore. The front was falling off. It was just I can't even explain like without pictures. It was a horrible building. Needed a lot of work. But it was full of tenants. The downstairs, it's a 2-story building. Downstairs had 6 commercial, small business tenants, all retail customers, which I love helping out small businesses. I've been in small business my whole life. So being able to provide them with somewhere safe and affordable to have their business and grow their business is, something I love doing. But the upside was the whole second floor of this office building. Actually, we're in that building right now. It was abandoned, and there was an upside to actually double the cash flow of the building by rehabbing the old hotel and changing it into office suites. We offered, we kind of pinged it off some of our investors. Hey, would this be something you guys could stand behind? And of course, it's helping the community and creating awesome cash flow for our investors. So, I mean, everybody we talked to was behind it. So we knew we had something good. So we put a business plan together, got it funded, and I don't know, a year and a half later, returned everybody's capital, and we had a beautiful building to return to the city, and everybody gives us compliments.
The businesses are still there.
The businesses are downstairs, are doing awesome through COVID. We have a couple of restaurants they're doing great. We actually just had a brand new restaurant open up this week.
Nice. And you guys still own that?
Mm-hmm.
And the investors are still getting returns on it, or did
investors were debt only on
Okay.
the construction loan side.
Okay.
So we maintained, since we owned it before the syndication,
Okay.
we maintained ownership after we cashed out the investors after finance.
Okay, so that's a way that investments are done as debt. It's like you're loaning money to somebody to do a project, and they pay you interest. And once that project's done, you get all your money back. And so you got your money back plus interest, and you helped this town and these businesses just make something ugly better. The businesses were already there, and it sounds like they were in not a very good place to be. It might have been a pretty building to some eyes. Creativity and a vision to see that this has possibility, and we can make this something nice for this town and help, as Brad said, these small businesses be able to stay here. Otherwise, that building's going to get torn down, and they've got to go to some place that's probably a lot more rent. And you were able to increase the cash flow for yourselves, but it's a tax base for the city also. So that's just all the way around a good thing to me. I like it. And you've done that more than once, it sounds like. You said 6 historic buildings that you've restored.
We own 6. This was our first restoration project. The other ones don't need quite as much work as this one did. So the other ones are probably going to be a little bit smaller projects. They do need work, and a lot of these old buildings are ongoing maintenance.
Yes, of course. So, yes.
But the prices are usually pretty good on them. I don't know about the last couple of years, everything seems kind of ridiculous, but historically, the prices are good, where the cap rates are pretty good. So
cap rates are a way that we talk about the value or the cost of something in real estate. Just for anybody who's listening goes, cap, that it's a term that's we use a lot. Emily, talk about what you're doing and how you guys work together. And I mean, you're not talking much, but I know you do a lot. I know you do a lot.
We, Brad is a visionary. I have a vision. It just
Okay.
takes a lot longer to get there for
Okay.
me.
Yeah. I
He
got it.
can see like he's the beginning through the whole process, and I'm like, I need to get closer to the end before this comes together.
Yeah. It sounds like you're willing to walk you're walking the path, even if you're not seeing it. You'll put your foot out there and go.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're doing a lot of the talking to investors,
Yes,
and helping them to understand. So somehow you buy into the vision.
definitely. I do. It's just that we play different roles.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
like I'm more like, okay, what's the next step? And Brad's like, well, I've passed the next step and now I'm here.
Yes.
So it's good because we kind of balance each other out, because I'm like, oh, maybe let's rein this in a second. But yeah, I throughout the whole process of construction, because it was debt only, we were paying monthly interest, I had monthly newsletters out to the investors. And then I also had to make sure that everybody got their payments and all that good stuff. So the reporting all goes through me. And usually most of the correspondence will go through me as well.
So if you, okay, let's talk about your project that we talked about more recently is about green technology, and that's the CO2 scrubbers.
Yes.
I don't understand it. So you guys explain as easily as possible, like we're second graders, what a CO2 scrubber is.
So to make it pretty simple, the government has engineered a piece of equipment with a manufacturer called CETA, and CETA has patented this equipment. And what it does is you hook it up to either your oil pipe, the oil well, or your natural gas well.
Okay.
And it takes the CO2 directly out of the either oil or gas coming out of the ground. And so it's ready for sale right away. Otherwise, it's got to be sent to a facility, have the CO2 cleaned out of it, because the government doesn't let you vent CO2 out of these wells.
What's ready for sale? The oil and the natural gas, or the CO2?
Both. So it collects the CO2 into a tank.
Okay.
This machine, and it's on a semi-trailer. It's mobile. You can take it out to any well you want to. Like these ones that we are just finishing up on, they're getting leased to Exxon. So,
okay. So let me just make sure I'm understanding so far.
Mhm.
When somebody goes and pumps oil or natural gas, one of the byproducts of that is CO2. They can't take that thing with CO2 and sell it. They have to get rid of the CO2.
Yes.
Correct.
And either they have to send it, they pump it out, pull it out, grab it out, suck it out, however they get it out, take it to some company or some place to have that happen. Or with this new technology, they can do it as it comes out of the ground.
Correct.
Got it. Now you have two products, either oil and natural gas, and CO2, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So both of those have a market? Somebody's buying those?
Correct.
Okay. We know people are buying oil and natural gas.
Yeah.
CO2. What do you use CO2 for?
The CO2 is kind of secondary. It could be used for industrial uses. It could be, what's the ice? The really cold ice?
Dry ice?
Dry ice. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be made.
Okay. So there's a market for both of these products.
Mhm.
And if CO2 isn't sold like that, what would happen to it if they're not scrubbing it out like that? Where does it just go into the atmosphere? Well,
Yeah, so this is a green, like the government doesn't allow the CO2 to just be vented. It has to be disposed of properly.
okay.
So it has to be processed out of the oil or natural gas at some point. So either it has to be trucked to a facility and then all separated out at a facility, or done on site. And on site is way less expensive
Right.
and way easier to deal with.
Okay, so you guys raised money, you have a project where that involves CO2 scrubbers, and tell me about that. You have something to do with the machine itself, the equipment itself, and the product, or is it one or the other?
Yeah, so we work directly with the manufacturer. We split profits with the manufacturer after the equipment's up and running. But it is still, the returns are amazing. And working with CETA, I mean, they have a vested interest in this equipment as well. So the fund we just put together, it's like it's a 200% return on your initial capital and a 25% return cash on cash, or excuse me, 200% tax deduction and 25% return cash on cash.
Okay, so you guys have finished a raise on that. So this isn't an advertisement, but just an example of a project that there is that, while some people may have an issue with digging up oil and natural gas and all that kind of stuff, we need them. They're not going away. The CO2 is something that has to be disposed of. Cannot go with the oil and natural gas. Was a different product, a byproduct of a process that's going to happen anyway. And there's some depreciation, right? The equipment there. What is that you talked about? So let's go back a little bit. The ways to make money in real estate, we've talked about cash flow from the thing itself. And then there's a tax side of that. That's the depreciation, or how the government writes down the use of the equipment.
Correct.
Not the use, but the equipment itself. So with this, there's both of those things. So it's almost, you don't want to say double, but you get more of a return because of that, correct?
Correct. So we're getting our monthly cash flow from the lease of our equipment to Exxon, because us and our investors all own this piece of equipment that's being leased to the oil company.
Got it.
So not only are we making cash flow off the equipment while it's being used, the government also gives us a 200% tax credit, because that's what they want done. They want to see all these pieces of equipment in service as fast as they can. So they're trying to get tax incentives so that incentivizes people to invest in these things.
And that's about the tax code. If you talk to anybody who really, really understands the tax code, they're going to tell you, it tells you what to do to save money and make money. It's not about you paying taxes. It's about, what do we need done, for what can people do and what can you do to help us do what we need done, and we'll pay you for that. And that's what that's about. So that's really interesting. Okay, so you have historic preservation and restoration, CO2 scrubbers, and you guys got something else going on, some green growing things, some international work you're doing?
So we visited Paraguay in 2019, went out and visited a farm in Paraguay, Asuncion. I probably totally butchered that, but in Paraguay.
That's the name of the farm, right? That's whatever.
No, that's the town.
That's the town. Got you. Okay.
Anyway. But we had the opportunity to visit this farm and see how these farmers are helping the economy of Paraguay. And it's some German farmers that have been there since the 80s. They own land originally mostly for cattle.
Okay.
But they saw a need for a problem that Paraguay has, and a way to solve it. Paraguay imports all of its produce, like fruits and vegetables. Everything is imported. It's just a horrible climate for growing. It's so hot there.
It's really hot.
It's really hard to grow produce. The only thing that grows really well there are orange groves. So they do have orange groves on this farm, but the main thing was these greenhouses.
Okay, before you go any further, Brad, because I know this is going to get good, we're going to take a quick break. All right, you guys, we'll be right back. Money with Mission is a real estate and business investment company that specializes in finding projects that have the potential to give you a great return on your investment dollar and make an impact in the communities where we invest. Make a difference in your life and the lives of others. Go to moneywithmission.com to learn more. Okay, welcome back. Now Brad's going to tell us more about what they're growing in Paraguay. I think you ended with greenhouses. Let us know what's going on down there.
Yeah. So these German farmers came up with, to solve the need of the super expensive imported and actually subpar produce that all the local Paraguayans eat. And it was to grow locally. And to do that, they built greenhouses and were able to show that they could grow produce, fruits and vegetables, and sell it to the local grocery stores. And gosh, I mean, we even went to all these grocery stores and looked at the produce that they had on the shelves. And not only was it super expensive, it was really gross looking.
This was the imported stuff.
The imported stuff. And then they showed us, what they supplied to the grocery stores for a lesser price. And it was so much better, this produce. So it's really helping the people of Paraguay. And the returns, we went down there as investors to look at this. The returns were pretty phenomenal on these greenhouses. So they were selling investors greenhouses, and we would lease this greenhouse back to the farmers. They would grow the produce and sell it to the local grocery stores, and then we would split the profits.
So let me make sure I understand. Investors invest in building a greenhouse. You have an operator of a greenhouse. So you own a building, real estate.
Yes.
And land.
Are you part of the business also?
We are not part of the business. We own the greenhouse and the land.
Okay. And so now do you have to build the greenhouse or they build it?
They built the greenhouse.
Your money. Investors are money. That's
Correct.
all you have to do. Put in your money. They're going to build it. They're going to grow it. They're going to sell it. And they're going to pay you rent for that greenhouse.
Yes.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. So, and the benefit of that is local Paraguayan fruits and vegetables, cheaper than they're getting imported. Same kind of thing I've been talking about here in the United States, in the food deserts and in the middle of the country where we don't grow very much produce. You're getting more healthy food, your food with more nutrition in it. Okay. So that's pretty interesting.
Paraguay, has no tourism because it's landlocked.
Okay.
So, we went there and it was like, we've been to like countries where they speak English, and you can make it work even if you don't know the language.
Right.
Exactly. But this was like, if you have zero Spanish, you're going to be in trouble.
Okay.
And amazing, beautiful country, but it's landlocked. So they don't have there's no major rivers, there's no major ports. So the logistics of getting the food shipped in is where all the money comes in. So being able to provide the food for the country and then maybe having an excess and being able to export that is so huge for those people.
Okay.
Everybody is benefiting because otherwise, I can't imagine what logistics is to even get the kind of nutritionally important foods to the people of Paraguay.
So they are producing enough food in the greenhouses to actually export?
At this time, they are not exporting, but they could.
In the future, that is the plans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I believe I think starting this year or maybe next year, the strawberry greenhouses are going to start exporting.
So do they have a greenhouse with different fruit and vegetable in each one, or do they mix them up? And it's greenhouse, not hydroponic, not indoor controlled. Okay.
So they usually, tomatoes, because of the culture, tomatoes are a big deal in their food, as well as peppers. So those are the two main fruits that are, actually they probably are fruits.
I think you're right.
Fruits and or vegetables
that
are grown in the greenhouses. And then they are also doing kind of a different type of greenhouse that will grow strawberries.
That's pretty exciting. How many of these greenhouses do they have? Do you know?
When we were there, I think there's maybe a dozen of them or so, but there's enough land. They're going to build tons of them.
I think they had I think they were going to build like 24.
So you own the greenhouse and the land. That's a pretty exciting thing that investors can be a part of. And this is just an example of different ways that you can actually have an impact, not on a small town, a small community, a neighborhood, a country.
Whole country
is, I'm trying to picture Paraguay. I'm gonna have to go look at the map when we're done, because I thought it was on a coast, but
it's like in the middle,
It's
right in the
not.
middle,
It's,
kind of down.
It's underneath Belize, next to Uruguay, and maybe touches Argentina.
Uruguay is the country, is the one on the coast. That's right.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty exciting, you guys. Did you start out with your real estate investing business thinking of doing social impact investing, or did it just kind of turn out this way? Or
I honestly think that you could probably consider, I think, all real estate investing. I mean, as long as you're not like a slumlord or these things that people can stereotype about real estate, but all real estate is helping other people. Either you're helping somebody have somewhere to live, you're helping somewhere for people to have a business, you're helping feed people. It's all about helping other people. The whole thing in real estate, like that is not like the furthest thing from us is like, oh, I like this rich landlord. That's like the furthest thing from, I think, any respectable real estate investor's mind.
I agree. And the point of it is that we of course you have to have money to meet your basic needs. You have to have money to meet, not even just your basic needs, the stuff you want. And once you get there, all the rest is for everything else. It's just to do and help and make a difference. And these guys are doing it in a major way. How can people get in touch with you guys? Oh, wait, you guys have something. You have a gift for people, right? That you're going to go to moneywithmission.com to find. What are you getting them? What do you got for them, guys?
So there's a few things. There's either, so to be able to help people with projects, you need to be careful with your capital. And everything going on in the world right now, Emily and I put together a paper with 7 ways to help protect and grow your capital.
Amazing.
So if you want to go to
come to my site, moneywithmission.com. That'll be available under resources. And if you want to get in touch with Brad and Emily, they've got a lot going on there too. They have a newsletter, they have a meetup group, and all of their information on how to get in touch with them will be in the show notes. I'm actually going to be speaking at their meetup group June?
Next month.
Yeah.
June, okay. All right. So I'm super excited to have had you guys here. This was really fun. Keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. I 100% agree, Brad. If you're not in it for just the money, you're making a difference in the world, making people's lives a lot better. So thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Felicia.
I hope you enjoyed the interview and are inspired to give your money a mission. Until next time, send your investment dollars into the world to bring you a financial return and improve the lives of others.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can make a great return while positively impacting the lives of others. To learn more about today's guests or to download 7 steps to building resilient wealth for women, visit www.moneywithmission.com.